welcome to saltwater making. We do this every Friday morning. We make saltwater so that we can do water changes for the exhibits here at the Virginia Living Museum. So right now, I'm pumping over some cycled fresh water, city water, over to this middle part, adding some salt to it. You want to watch me do the last box. Each of these boxes of salt, marine salt, about 45 pounds. You gotta kind of bust it out of the box. It's really heavy. You're gonna come up this way and drop it in the mix. Again, it's gonna be pretty loud, but pretty cool. So what I'm doing is trying to get the salt as close to the faucet so it mixes. I even stick it on there, get some water inside the bag to get all of the salt out. Yep. So each batch is 500 gallons. Each 500-gallon batch takes about 3.5 boxes. So we switch it from 3 boxes, 4 boxes. It's easier. You got a question already?
Auden would like to know, how much salt do we go through in a month? A lot.
A lot. I can tell you that we get an entire truckload shipment of salt in from Baltimore twice a year. So a lot of salt. We gotta make this salt, and then from here we trap it into a reservoir tank that's in our basement. That's 10,000 gallons of water, which we use roughly 80% of every week. And then from there it's plumbed throughout the entire building, so we can turn a faucet, pressure salt water, so we can have convenient access to our salt water. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this while it's mixing. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with our salt and fresh water. So follow me right here. All throughout behind the scenes we have hoses like this hung up on the wall, and it's plumbed from that reservoir tank, and we're easily to see salt water, fresh water. So we can just open one at a time and use what we need, and it's perfectly treated to be used on the animals. So now that we've made salt for now, why don't we go out front and do a little Marsh enrichment. We chose Marsh because we use both fresh and salt water for this exhibit. It's a brackish exhibit. I don't know if you guys saw me taking the bags and throwing them in a container. We actually do recycle our plastic bags here at the Virginia Living Museum and send them off to Trex Recycling. I don't know if you guys have seen those around. You can get building material made from your recycled bags. We have a question?
Auden would like to know, what do we use to hold our 10,000 gallons of water?
It is a enormous concrete built-in tank with mixing pumps inside, and it's got a meter reading to tell you how full and how empty it is, and has an alarm system that tells you if it's getting too full or too empty, so we know exactly where our level of water is at and how much we have to use.
How long does it take the fresh water to salt water so that it can be used in exhibits?
That's a good question. You could theoretically use it same day. However, we actually let our saltwater cycle for at least, let's see, today's Friday, until Tuesday, so about 5 days before we use it again. And that is to kind of equal out the chemistry of the water. We want 0 nitrate levels, 0 ammonia levels. We want good bacteria levels, so it's nice and healthy and live that we can use for the animals. It's not just simply opening the tap and adding salt, which is what we're literally doing back there, but you gotta let it cycle through these pumps and filters for it to be really good, healthy water to use. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed this tank. They didn't get fed yet today. This is our Marsh exhibit. So what I have is a mesh feeder. It doesn't look like much, but you shove it full of food, right? And it's on this rock to be weighed down, and the fish kind of have to fight for it to get it out. So I'm gonna put it right here in the middle. See if they can get at it. You guys have any questions? Oh, go ahead.
Do blind cavefish need salt water? They're one of Auden's favorites.
Auden, no, they actually are just freshwater. We have the blind cavefish exhibit downstairs. There wouldn't really be salt caves, I mean, not here in Virginia, so we just use freshwater for the blind cavefish. So for this exhibit, this is our Marsh exhibit. These are your typical marsh fish. These are a little large. We'd hopefully be able to collect more, release these guys and collect a new batch of animals for this exhibit, but you're looking at a mix of spot and croaker. There's a few kingfish, some white perch. There might be a couple silver perch thrown out here and there, and then of course our diamondback terrapins, which if you joined us a few weeks ago, we were feeding them as well. So as you can see, these guys are already almost done foraging in this container for the food. So spot and croaker, they are a very popular animal in the Chesapeake Bay, and especially down this way in Newport News and Yorktown. We catch them all over, and they're actually part of the drum family. So if you guys have ever been fishing on the York or in the Chesapeake Bay, you catch them and they make kind of a croaking sound, hence the name croaker. They have a sound organ in their throat that kind of rubs together and makes that croaking frog sound. And there are several other animals in that same group. You got red drum, black drum, which we have in the larger exhibit next door. So these are our two male diamondback terrapins, as you can see, trying to get the last scraps. They are cared for by our herpetology department. They're very silly. The one you're looking at now, the more spiky one, is a bit younger. He's, I think, only about 5 years old, whereas the other male, that smoother back male, is much older. Correct me if I'm wrong, herps, but I want to say about 14 years old. I don't remember from the last time. But female terrapins are significantly larger. They're the ones that have kind of white heads with spots. They are somewhat endangered in Virginia, and actually, believe it or not, they have the reason that the blue crab fishing is down, not because of the blue crab's animal themselves, but because of or bycatch of terrapins. We don't want to ruin their habitat. We don't want to accidentally catch terrapins or eggs or anything, so there's a moratorium, not a moratorium, there's a slow down on Virginia blue crabs. You guys got any questions about this exhibit? If not, we can actually move next door to the beach exhibit if you want. I'm not feeding them yet, but you can kind of take a look. This is your open water beach. We have some spade fish, which are these kind of stripy guys. We have a black drum up here related to the spot and croaker. We have some more croaker in here as well. Some look downs. These guys here, the very silvery ones. A moonfish, which is related to the look downs but looks a little different. And then one of my favorite, the scup right here in the middle. It's hard to tell, but he looks like he has kind of blue eyebrows, and he gets kind of pink. Maybe I'll take this lid off so you guys can see a little better. Now we have this barrier up every day so that the fish don't jump out. When we're ordinarily open, this barrier will be on top so the fish don't jump out at night while we're not here. But for safety purposes, we just keep it on all the time unless we're feeding or cleaning the tank. This is personally one of my favorite exhibits. It doesn't look like much, just a sandy bottom and a rocky background, but I just love the animals in here. I guess we can move on to the next exhibit, which is our piling exhibit, also known as underwater apartments. This is an interesting exhibit. It is a makeshift piling in the middle, and to show you what kind of animals we would have living among the rocks and whatnot. So we actually, if you look real close, we have some pretty large feather blennies here, and then inside the shell there. Believe it or not, the female will lay eggs inside of the shell, and then the male will kind of watch over them. He'll wave his body back and forth to fan the eggs, to fan some oxygen over them, get them moving a little bit and stimulated. So he'll guard those eggs for a long time. This is a fun guy here. This is a snapper of some kind. I want to say a mutton snapper that we actually caught as a tropical migrant down in North Carolina as a teeny tiny little thing, barely an inch long. Didn't know what kind of fish it was, only could tell that it was possibly a snapper, but turns out it's this beautiful pink and yellow animal with a nice black spot. Very cool. We love snapper around here. If you look up at the top, there's our plainhead filefish, as you might have seen the other day in our juvenile fish exhibit. Plainhead for the sloped face that they have, and filefish because of their little file that goes up on their head. The alpha male in any group of filefish will grow an extended filament on the as you can see, everyone in this exhibit is a little bit touchy. They're territorial, but that's what we like about it. Go ahead.
Andrew Buckles would like to know, what do they eat?
What do they eat? Well, all of these exhibits are saltwater up here, so we're gonna feed them a mix of what they would naturally eat in the wild. So we cut them up in proportion to the size of what they can fit in their mouths, actually. So they're gonna eat shrimp, cut up really small, mysis shrimp, sometimes squid. We'll even cut up the tentacles for them. Some gel diet, which is full of nutrition and vitamins. These guys are fighting for no reason at all. Like I said, very territorial.
Are there any hermit crabs in this tank?
There are not hermit crabs in this tank. There might be a mud crab here and there on accident, but there are not hermit crabs in here. We did used to have some hermit crabs in here, though. Good question. Well, if there's no other questions, I know it's a short one today, but we'll go ahead and finish up. Thanks for joining us for this kind of mini tour of the upstairs. Making salt. I'm going to get back to making salt water. I have a few more batches to make for the rest of today. And then we'll be ready to go on Tuesday to do some water changes. So join us again this afternoon. I will be doing an enrichment feeding with our woodland pond exhibit. Those are freshwater animals. So if anyone is an avid fisher in these ponds and parks around Virginia, might want to join. So thanks for joining. Continue on with our natural education here on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And be sure to check out any updated information on our opening, on our online plant sale and whatnot on our website at thevlm.org. Thanks for joining and see you guys later.